What was your most sexual non-sexual interaction? Story 1. I sat on a bus next to a beautiful stranger for a long trip. We talked for a while because we were going to be up in each other's personal space for the next half a day. So the trip goes on, we're minding our own business, I'm busy reading, and then suddenly I feel something lean up against my shoulder. She had fallen asleep and her head was resting on me. I thought I couldn't wake her up cause that would be rude, so I just sat and kept minding my own business. Fast forward a couple of minutes, and she started pressing her leg against me, and then finally over of my knee. She wakes up like half an hour later, realizes the situation, and profusely apologizes. I know she was just sleeping, but I'm going to lie if I say I hadn't imagined the next 30 years with her LMAO. Story 2. When I was a teenager, I had to see a rheumatologist. She was fairly young and very attractive. She did a test by poking her fingers into pressure points all over my body. A few times it made me yelp in pain. She leaned over and whispered in a deep voice, "Sorry about that. I'm very good at inflicting pain. I just about died."
That's a red flag right there.
Story 3. I had to get a ball ultrasound as well. Lady was gorgeous, and as she is doing the ultrasound stuff, the machine beeps. She ignores it, and it's clear, even to me, that it is something that happens when she captures an image. After a while, though, I started giggling and had to apologize to her. I'd gotten the idea in my head that she was actually playing the most unique ripoff of Candy Crush ever, and that every time there was a beep she had successfully matched my balls to someone else's. Story 4. My wife has to have a vaginal ultrasound once early on in a pregnancy. I went in with her cause she was a big wuss. The tech was hot as all get out. Wife was freshly groomed down there and at the super horny point in pregnancy. It got really weird, really quick. Everything was okay. When we got home, you know. No, we don't know. Please enlighten us. Story 5. In the emergency room with appendicitis. Super cute surgeon is doing the pre-op exam and tells me, the bad news is I have to do a rectal exam. The good news is my hand is small, and I only have to get it a little ways up there. Good grief. Story 6. When the hairdresser washes your hair before a cut and gives a bit of a head massage. Story 7. A worker at a fast food restaurant gave me some vibes like she was attracted to me. Then when I tried paying for my food by debit card, the machine didn't read it properly, so she then looked me in the eye and said in a flirty voice, "You're gonna have to pull out," referring to the card. Then you can put it back in a few times. It was probably all in my head, but I've never before had such an innocent interaction with such a sexual undertone. Story 8. At my work we used this old-ass software called Heat that we had only a few licenses for, so if you forgot to close it when you were done, someone else couldn't get in. My male manager, who was good-looking and known for raunchy jokes at happy hour, came up and said very innocently, "Hey, are you in Heat?" I looked at him and said that's not a polite question to ask a woman, and he turned beet red and basically sprinted away. Classic case of accidentally turning a software issue into a steamy sitcom moment. Story 9. I was a music major but got interested in programming near the end of my college career. I was about to graduate, but still wanted to take some math in hopes of maybe getting into some software engineering classes before my school finally sent me out into the wide world. My Calculus 1 class I subsequently enrolled and had a bit of group work with our assigned desk partners, and as I sat down in our first class, I immediately noticed that my desk partner was gorgeous. She introduced herself with an unusual name, and I assumed she was used to people mispronouncing it because she immediately instructed me, forcefully, almost angrily, to repeat it by saying, "Say it. Say my name." I couldn't stand up for a few minutes.
Heisenberg. Your name is Heisenberg. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me.
Story 10. Took a ballroom dancing class in college. Last class I got paired up with a girl I hadn't met before. We didn't say much, but there felt like there was some instant chemistry or tension. About halfway through the class we were just about to do a waltz. I went up to her to start, and for some reason I just grabbed her and pulled her sharply into me. She gasped, flushed deep red, and broke out in a sweat. Story 11. I'll go first. In college, had a roommate who was dating an extremely wealthy girl. Her parents bought her a $300K apartment to live in while she was in school, just stupid money, and one night, the three of us went out for some drinks, then went back to her place to crash since the bar was right down the street. They went to bed and I slept on the couch, but at some point rolled onto the floor. When I woke up in the morning I smelled coffee and looked over to see my roommate's GF in a tank top and panties. It gets worse. It was a split second later my body remembered my back is made of jello and moldy bread and I couldn't move that much, so I attempted to crawl on the couch. The GF knows of my marshmallow spine and immediately comes over and helps me to the couch and sits down next to me and goes, "Don't worry, my mom is a masseuse and my dad is a chiropractor. I'll fix it." I got a massage from a half-naked woman who was just out here doing the Lord's work while I couldn't move for multiple reasons. Best part. Roommate walked out of the bedroom and didn't even question it. Just when is OP's back fucked up again? Story 12. A girl was hiding out in my room from her friend. She had to answer a call and I asked if she wanted pasta. She responded, "Yep, thanks daddy," and I genuinely didn't know how to respond. She later explained that I reminded her of her dad's house and didn't think before responding. Still threw me through a loop. Story 13. When I found out a second plane hit the WTC on September 11th. I was in 8th grade and had an orthodontist appointment that morning. The dental tech that was working on me had huge breasts and if she just didn't know, but they'd always rest on my head and I'd have to flex my thighs for the entire half hour she would work on my mouth in order to not get a middle school erection. So now, I hear anything about 9/11 and it makes me think of boobs on my head. Yikes, that could end up with an awkward situation. Story 14. I, male, was taking a scuba diving class in my university. There was a stunning redhead with an amazing body. We never spoke in class. Fast forward to the end of the school year. We are diving for 2 days at a lake doing the checkout dives. One day as I am exiting the water, she is entering the water and said something to like, "Hurry up, you are holding me up." I have no idea why, but my response was "fuck you" in a playful tone. She smiles and responds, "Okay." My mind is blown. Class ends and she said, "I'll see you tomorrow." The next day she did not make it to class because she was involved in a car accident. She had injuries that kept her from diving. So yeah. Never saw her again. It's been 23 years and I still remember that sexy redhead in the white two-piece. Story 15. Not sexual per se, but very romantic feeling. When I was in college I booked a cheap flight home for the holidays on a very small plane. Took off in a pretty massive thunderstorm, to the point that gusts of wind were lurching the plane like some kind of cheap carnival ride. Sat next to a very cute girl a few years older than me, newly engaged. She showed me her ring. When the wind started to pick up, she looked over nervously and asked, "I'm a little scared, could I maybe hold your hand?" I said sure, and she reached over and she kept my hand locked in a death grip for about 20 minutes, while talking about her family and fiancé, to keep her mind off of things the whole time. After we landed safely without any issues, she just looked so grateful, said a relieved thank you and gave me a quick hug as we were leaving. It was very sweet. I was still pretty awkward with women at that point in my life and it felt great to make a positive connection in that way.